We normally pay 2.5% of European GDP on oil used in European economy. When you look at road transportation, it is responsible for 25% of EU's energy consumption and for approximately 20% of CO2 emissions. Electromobility will not be an answer to all those challenges, that's clear, but it can be an answer to some of those challenges, and in some environments, like urban environment, it can clearly help us to address the question of emissions, the questions of air quality, but it also will play an important part when we look at electromobility, not only from the point of view of electric vehicles, but also hydrogen-powered vehicles, and hydrogen as an element of the energy storage system, as an important element to deal with the entire energy production system in the EU. But we should also look at electric transport going outside road. There is a lot talk here about personal vehicles, trucks, buses, so road transportation. But electrification of transport is important in the rail sector, obviously. And there are some very advanced research projects that look into much more unusual solutions concerning ships, mostly with the ideas to have ships powered by hydrogen, and some very, very, very unusual projects looking into the electrification of planes. But that, I think, is beyond the scope of this conference discussion, also in terms of timeline that we are looking into. And we really had to explain why we believe we need a European directive for alternative fuels. And I was thinking that obviously when you look from the perspective of some member states like Germany, you could say, don't put a directive on the table. Electromobility in Germany is happening. All the companies that are present here, all of you in this room, but also when I looked at the titles of the panels and various speeches, there's a clear expectation that the electromobility in Germany will become a viable transport alternative. By 2020, maybe a bit later, maybe a bit earlier. We will be helping to fund electromobility projects along the TEN-T network. Again, not always easy, because here we are talking long-distance transportation. But if we want to make sure that electromobility is a real part of European transport, we have to start looking into what can happen when traveling longer distance. I'm really impressed with the forum today, because it's quite amazing to see such a huge group of people clearly demonstrating that what we were talking about as very, very initial ideas 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years ago is already happening in many places. And it's also good to see that many of those ideas are actually ideas being brought about by companies and business people that are European companies, and that do help European companies with not only developing their offer here in the EU, but also opening up the possibilities for them to have that offer presented to those who are interested in making electromobility a reality everywhere in the world.